father told his new family that I died years ago to avoid explaining his past life, but I showed up at his retirement party to introduce myself, and now his wife is divorcing him while he blames me for destroying his life. I was raised by my mother as a single parent for most of my life. My father left when I was about 4 years old, and honestly, I don't have many clear memories of him from that time, just vague feelings of him being there and then suddenly not being there. My name is Daniel, and I'm 32 now. I have a son named Lucas, who is 8. My mother passed away 5 years ago from cancer, which was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. After she died, I went through some of her old boxes and found letters and documents about my father, Arthur. It turned out he hadn't just drifted away. He had moved 3 states over, started a very successful construction business, and built a whole new life. I spent a few years debating whether or not to reach out to him. I wasn't looking for money or anything like that, just some closure, I guess. Or maybe I just wanted to know why he left us and never looked back. I have my own family now, my wife and Lucas, and I can't imagine ever walking out on them. It just didn't make sense to me how someone could do that. A few months ago, I found out through some online searching and social media stalking that Arthur was throwing a huge retirement party. He was retiring from his company and handing it over, presumably to someone else, or just cashing out. The party was going to be at a banquet hall in a hotel about 2 hours from where I live. I saw the invitation posted on a public Facebook event page. It looked fancy. There were pictures of him with his current family, a wife named Alina and 2 kids, a boy and a girl, who looked to be in their early 20s. Seeing those pictures made me feel this weird mix of anger and sadness. Here was this man playing the perfect family patriarch while I had grown up wondering why I wasn't good enough for him to stick around. I decided to go to the party. I know people might think that was a bad idea, and maybe it was, but I felt like I needed to see him in person. I wanted to look him in the eye. I brought Lucas with me because my wife had to work a night shift at the hospital, and I couldn't find a sitter on such short notice. Plus, a part of me wanted Arthur to see his grandson, even if he didn't know he existed. We drove down there last Saturday. I remember feeling nauseous the whole drive. I kept rehearsing what I would say, or if I would say anything at all. Maybe I would just stand in the back and watch. Lucas was sitting in the back playing on his Switch, completely unaware of the tension I was feeling. He's a good kid, really quiet and observant. When we got to the hotel, I almost turned around. The parking lot was full of expensive cars, and I was driving my beat-up sedan, but I parked and walked in. The ballroom was decorated with gold and silver balloons, and there was a big banner that said "Happy Retirement Arthur." There were probably 200 people there. I blended in pretty easily at first. I grabbed a soda for Lucas and a water for myself and stood near the back tables. I saw Arthur near the front, shaking hands and laughing. He looked older than the pictures I had found in my mom's boxes, obviously, but I recognized him instantly. It was surreal seeing my own face on an older stranger. Alina, his wife, was standing next to him, looking very elegant and happy. His other kids, my half-siblings, I guess, were there too. The girl, who I think is named Jenny, was giving a toast when I walked in deeper. She was talking about what an amazing father Arthur was, how he was always there for every soccer game and every recital. Hearing that made my stomach turn. I felt this heat rising up my neck. He was always there for them, but he hadn't sent a single birthday card to me in 28 years. I must have looked visibly upset because a woman standing next to me asked if I was okay. After the speeches, people started mingling. I held Lucas's hand tight and started walking toward Arthur. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe I thought he would see me and break down, or maybe I thought he would call security. When I got close, Arthur was talking to a group of men in suits. He turned and saw me. The color drained out of his face so fast it was like a cartoon. He stopped talking mid-sentence. He stared at me and then he stared at Lucas. I walked right up to him. Alina was standing right there, smiling politely, waiting to be introduced. "Hello, Arthur," I said. My voice was shaking a little, but I tried to keep it steady. Arthur didn't say anything. He just looked terrified. Alina looked between us and frowned. "Do we know you?" she asked, looking at me. She was polite but confused. "Are you one of Arthur's former employees?" I looked at Arthur, waiting for him to explain. He just stood there, opening and closing his mouth like a fish. He looked like he was about to have a heart attack. "No," I said, looking at Alina. "I'm not an employee, I'm Daniel." Alina's face went blank. "Daniel?" She looked at Arthur, and her expression changed from confusion to horror. "Arthur isn't Daniel." Arthur suddenly snapped out of his trance. He stepped forward and tried to steer me away by my elbow, gripping it really hard. "We need to talk outside," he hissed at me. "Right now." I pulled my arm away. I'm not going anywhere, I said, loud enough that the people around us stopped talking. I just wanted to wish you a happy retirement, Dad. The word dad hung in the air like a lead balloon. The group of men around us went silent. Elinor let out this weird gasp like she couldn't breathe. That's not possible, Elinor said, her voice shaking. She looked at me with this mix of fear and disbelief. Arthur told me. He told me his first son died in the car accident with his first wife 30 years ago. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I looked at Arthur. You told them I was dead. Arthur was sweating profusely now. He looked angry, panic-stricken. Elinor, don't listen to him, he said, his voice high and desperate. He's a con artist. He's just trying to get money. I don't know who this person is. I couldn't believe it. He was looking right at me, his own son, and calling me a con artist. He had killed me off in his stories to avoid explaining why he abandoned us. I'm not a con artist, I said. I pulled out my phone and opened the photo gallery. I had scans of my birth certificate and photos of him holding me as a baby saved, just in case. I held the phone up for Elinor to see. Here's me and him. Here's my birth certificate. My mom didn't die in a car accident 30 years ago. She died of cancer 5 years ago. He left us. Elinor looked at the phone, then at Arthur. She looked like she was going to be sick. You told me they were dead, she whispered to him. You told me you were a widower who lost everything. You built our entire relationship on that trauma. Arthur turned on me then. His face twisted into something ugly. Get out, he screamed. Get the hell out of here, you're trash. You're nothing but trash trying to ruin my life. Lucas squeezed my hand really hard. He looked scared. I looked down at him and then back at Arthur. You're calling me trash, I said. You're the one who told your family your son was dead so you wouldn't have to pay child support or explain why you walked out. Elinor was crying now. Her friends were gathering around her. Arthur's other kids, Jenny and the brother, came rushing over. Jenny looked at me and then at her dad. Dad, who is this? She asked. He's nobody, Arthur yelled. Security, get security. I looked at Elinor one last time. I'm sorry to ruin the party, I said, but I'm not dead and neither is his grandson. I gestured to Lucas. We walked out. I didn't wait for security. I could hear Elinor sobbing and screaming at Arthur as we walked away. I heard her say, you lied about everything. We drove home in silence again. Lucas fell asleep halfway there. When we got home, I just sat on the couch and stared at the wall. I felt hollow. I thought confronting him would make me feel better, or at least give me answers. Instead, I just found out that to him, I was better off dead. Since then, my phone has been blowing up, but not from him. It's from random numbers I don't recognize, probably his family members or friends who tracked me down. I listened to one voicemail from a woman who sounded like Elinor, just crying and asking if it was really true. I haven't responded to anyone. I'm just trying to process the fact that my father erased my existence to build his new life. He didn't just leave. He buried me metaphorically so he could be the good guy who suffered a tragedy, rather than the guy who abandoned his kid. So am I the asshole for showing up at his party and blowing up his lie? Update 1: It's been a week since I crashed my father Arthur's retirement party and revealed that I am, in fact, alive. The fallout has been massive, and honestly I'm still reeling from everything that has happened. First off, Elinor, Arthur's wife, contacted me directly a few days ago. She sent me a long email. She wasn't angry at me, which surprised me. She was devastated. She told me that for their entire 25-year marriage, Arthur had played the role of the grieving widower. He had told her that his first wife and infant son, me, died in a horrific car crash that he survived. He used that trauma to explain why he was emotionally distant sometimes, or why he didn't want to talk about his past. She told me that finding out I was alive didn't just mean he had a secret son. It meant his entire personality and their shared history was based on a lie. She said she kicked him out of the house the night of the party. Apparently, after I left, the party turned into a disaster. Elinor caused a huge scene, screaming at him in front of all their friends and business partners. She's meeting with divorce lawyers now. I felt a little guilty that my actions caused her marriage to implode, but then I remembered that Arthur is the one who lied. I didn't make him lie. However, Arthur's reaction has been a different story. He has been calling me nonstop from different numbers because I blocked his main one. He leaves voicemails that range from crying and begging to screaming and threatening. In one voicemail, he said, "You ruined everything. You waited 30 years just to destroy me at the finish line. You're vindictive trash." He blamed me for Elinor kicking him out. He said I cost him his marriage and his reputation in the community. He said that everyone is looking at him like he's a monster now. I finally picked up the phone yesterday because he called while I was at work and I was sick of the distraction. I told him to stop calling me. Arthur immediately started yelling. "You need to fix this," he said. "You need to call Elinor and tell her you were lying. Tell her you're an imposter. Tell her you're just some guy looking for a payout." I was stunned. "You want me to tell her I'm a con artist? You want me to lie so you can keep living your lie? It's the only way to save my family," he screamed. You don't understand, Daniel. I built this life from nothing. I couldn't have that baggage dragging me down, you and your mother. It was a mistake. I was young. I needed a fresh start. I was a child, I said, my voice shaking. I wasn't baggage. I was your son, and you told people I was dead. It was a metaphor, he yelled, which was the most insane thing I've ever heard. You were dead to that part of my life. Alina wouldn't have understood. She comes from a good family. She wouldn't have married a guy who abandoned a kid. I did what I had to do. He wasn't sorry. That was the thing that hit me the hardest. He wasn't sorry he left. He was sorry he got caught. He still saw me as a mistake that needed to be covered up. He even brought Lucas into it. And bringing that kid of yours, he said, parading him around to make me look bad. You used your own son as a prop. That's sick. I saw red. Lucas is my son, I said. He's your grandson. The fact that you call him a prop shows exactly what kind of person you are. You don't know what family is. You just know how to manipulate people. You listen to me, Arthur said, his voice dropping to this low, menacing tone. You're going to fix this. You're going to write a statement saying you're a fraud. If you don't, I'm going to make sure you regret it. I have money, Daniel. I have lawyers. I can bury you in court. I can make your life a living hell. I hung up on him. I was shaking. I'm not a rich guy. I work in IT support. I live in a rental house. The thought of him using his money to come after me is terrifying. My half-sister Jenny also messaged me on Facebook. She was less aggressive, but still blamed me. She wrote, I don't know if you're really my brother or not, but you destroyed my dad. Mom is a wreck. Dad is living in a hotel. You shouldn't have come. If you stayed away this long, why couldn't you just stay away forever? It seems like the whole family is in chaos. Alina is the only one who seems to see Arthur for who he really is. The kids are confused and angry, and they're directing a lot of that anger at me because I'm the messenger. I talked to Lucas about it a little bit, mostly to reassure him. He asked if the mean man was going to come to our house. I told him no, that the mean man lives far away. But honestly, I'm scared. Arthur sounded unhinged on the phone. He's losing everything, his wife, his house, his standing, and he blames me entirely. I'm thinking about getting a lawyer just in case he tries to sue me for something ridiculous like defamation or emotional distress. I don't know if he can do that, but rich people seem to be able to do whatever they want. I just wanted closure. I just wanted him to acknowledge me. Instead, I started a war. Update 2, I need to update everyone because the situation has escalated to a point I never imagined. Arthur showed up at my house last night, and things got violent. It's been about 10 days since my last update. In that time, Alina filed for divorce. I know this because she emailed me to let me know and to apologize again for Arthur's behavior. She told me that Arthur is trying to hide assets and that it's getting ugly. She also told me that Arthur has been drinking heavily, which is something he apparently used to do years ago, but it stopped. I've been on edge, checking my locks and making sure Lucas is never alone outside. My wife has been worried sick. Last night around 8:30 p.m., we were watching a movie. Lucas was in his pajamas. I heard a car screech into the driveway. My stomach dropped. I looked out the window and saw a luxury SUV parked crookedly on my lawn, not even in the driveway. Arthur got out. He looked disheveled. He wasn't wearing a suit this time. He was in a wrinkled polo shirt and jeans. He was stumbling. I told my wife to take Lucas upstairs and lock the bedroom door. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911 immediately, but I didn't hit send yet. I went to the front door and made sure the deadbolt was engaged. Arthur started pounding on the door. Daniel, he screamed. Open this door. We need to finish this. I shouted through the door. Go away, Arthur. I'm calling the police. Call them, he yelled. I don't care. You took my life. I'm taking yours. He started kicking the door. I could hear the wood splintering. My house is old. The door frame isn't exactly reinforced steel. I was terrified he was going to break it down. You told Alina lies, he was screaming. You poisoned her against me. She's taking the house. She's taking the business shares. It's all because of you. He wasn't making any sense. He was blaming me for the consequences of his own decades-long deception. Then he stopped kicking and went to the living room window. He smashed it. I don't know if he used a rock or his fist, but the glass shattered everywhere. He tried to climb through. I ran into the living room. I didn't have a weapon, just a heavy flashlight I keep by the door. Get out, I yelled. Arthur fell through the window onto the floor, cutting his hands on the glass. He stood up, bleeding, looking wild. He lunged at me. He was drunk and older than me, but he was fueled by this insane rage. He swung at me and hit me in the jaw. It hurt, but I managed to shove him back. He tripped over the coffee table and fell hard. He scrambled up and tackled me. We were wrestling on the floor with broken glass everywhere. He was screaming that I was damaged goods and trash and that I should have stayed dead. He actually said, "Why couldn't you just stay dead?" I managed to pin him down just as I heard sirens. My wife had called the police from upstairs. When the cops burst in, they found me holding Arthur down while he was thrashing and screaming obscenities. They pulled him off me and handcuffed him. He was spitting at them, telling them he was a respectable businessman and that I was a thief who broke into his house. He was completely delusional. The police smelled the alcohol on him immediately. They arrested him for breaking and entering, assault, and DUI since he drove there. They took my statement. My jaw was swelling up, and I had cuts on my arms from the glass. They took photos of the broken window and the blood on the floor. Arthur was screaming as they dragged him to the patrol car. He looked at me with pure hatred. "You're dead to me," he yelled. "You hear me? You're dead." "I know," I said quietly. "I've been dead for 30 years. After they took him away, I went upstairs to check on Lucas and my wife. Lucas was crying. He had heard the glass breaking and the screaming. He asked if the mean man was going to hurt us. I had to explain that the police took him away and he couldn't hurt us anymore. I spent the rest of the night cleaning up glass and boarding up the window with plywood. I couldn't sleep. I just kept replaying the look in his eyes. He didn't see me as a son. He saw me as a problem to be eliminated. This morning, Arthur's lawyer called me. Not his divorce lawyer, but a criminal defense attorney. He tried to pressure me into dropping the charges. He said Arthur is going through a mental health crisis and that jail would destroy him. He said if I dropped the charges, Arthur would pay for the damages and give me a settlement. I told the lawyer to go to hell. I told him Arthur broke into my house, attacked me in front of my family, and drove drunk. I said I'm pressing charges to the fullest extent. My half-sister Jenny called me too. She was crying hysterically. She said I'm ruining the family. She said, "He's old, Daniel. You can't put him in prison. He's my dad." I asked her, "He's my dad too, Jenny." And he tried to beat me up in my own living room. He told everyone I was dead. Where is your sympathy for that? She didn't have an answer. She just kept saying that I was being cruel and vindictive. It's amazing how they can twist it so that I'm the villain for existing. I talked to the prosecutor's office today. They said with the breaking and entering and the assault, plus the DUI, Arthur is looking at actual prison time. They asked if I wanted a restraining order. I said yes, absolutely. I'm done. I'm done trying to find closure. I'm done trying to be understanding. Arthur is a dangerous narcissist who would rather destroy everyone around him than admit he lied. Elena sent me a text this morning. She heard about the arrest. She just said, "I'm so sorry. I'm making sure he never has access to our joint accounts again to hurt you. Please stay safe." At least someone in that family has a conscience. I'm sitting here with an ice pack on my jaw, watching Lucas play in the backyard. I realized that Arthur was right about one thing. I am different from him. I would die for my son. Arthur would kill his son to save his ego, and that's all I need to know. I'm going to therapy and I'm getting Lucas into therapy too. We're going to heal from this. Arthur can rot in jail for all I care. I'm not the one who destroyed his life. He did that himself the day he decided to lie about my death.